Hi, I'm Danielle Bassoni with Time for Change Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make yogurt from soy milk. We're going to be using the Instant Pot, and the Instant Pot that you use does have to have a yogurt function on it. It's one of the simplest recipes you'll ever come across, so anybody can do this. I do want to mention that this is a very good product to use. This is a shelf-stable soy milk. It's WestSoy, and you can find it at Walmart, just about anywhere. And this is the plain soy milk. Do not confuse this with soy drink, because this is just soybeans and water. It doesn't have any other additives to it or any other products in it. So, and this makes a very nice soy milk. You can also use silk soy milk. It gives a nice yogurt, but it's not as firm consistency as this one. So this is my preferred product. We're going to use the entire 64 ounces, and then we're going to add a little more to it than that, because I want to make 7 jars of it. This is a 12-ounce jar, and in order to fill all 7 of them, which fit perfectly into your Instant Pot, we'll need a little bit more than the 64 ounces. The reason that I put this into a blender, I'm using my high-powered Vitamix blender, but you can use any blender on low speed. The reason I'm using a blender is because when you put these probiotic capsules in them, they tend to clump, and the probiotics tend to clump. Some people say that they put it directly into the box and shake it up, and that works fine. I tend to doubt that, because even with the Vitamix, you still have to be careful about clumping. Okay, this is 64 ounces, but my experience has taught me, in order to get to fill all 7 of these jars, I like to fill it to the top of this line. To the top of this. And the way if you're not using a Vitamix blender, you can just fill 7 of these up to here and pour it into your blender. This is the probiotic I use. This is called Advanced 40 Plus Acidophilus, and you can get this online. I got it on Amazon for about $20, a little less than $20, and it has 120 capsules in it, so you can get quite a bit of yogurt out of this one bottle. And this is the most inexpensive formula that I've found, and it works very well. Okay, I'm going to turn this back on. Make sure this is as low as it can go when you start it. And then slowly turn it up until you have a little whirlpool going on in there. And so what you're going to do with the probiotics, I use 7 of them. I have experimented with 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 7 is the magic number for me. And it basically gives you 1 probiotic per 12-ounce jar. So you just pull these capsules apart and sprinkle them into the little moving soy milk. And that keeps it from clumping up. And you need to do it fairly lightly. The last one I did a little bit too heavily, because even this will clump if you put too much in at one time. It helps to have these set aside in a little container, in a little plate, simply because you remember how many you've put in there. Just set 7 aside, and when they're gone, you've done them all. Okay. We've got 3 more to go. If you accidentally drop one of these capsules in there, it's not the end of the world. It will dissolve eventually, pretty quickly actually. It's a gel capsule and it'll dissolve pretty quickly, but I prefer not to have it in there. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, so I'm going to turn it up just a hair, just to make sure everything's mixed up pretty well. I'm going to turn it down and then turn it off. So that's all there is to it. Now all we have to do are fill these 7 jars. Okay, I went slightly over, but that's fine. We've got plenty of room for expansion. So we can go back and take the ones that are not quite to the top of the lip and fill those up. But actually this has turned out pretty perfectly, if I do say so myself. You want to leave a little room for expansion, but you don't have to leave much. It's not going to expand a lot. To be on the safe side, I always try to keep it at this lip, at this edge here, but it actually can go pretty full. I actually did put slightly more than I needed in there. That's what I get for guessing. Okay. Okay, so I really prefer to have this filled to this line, to this little lip here. If you look at it, you can see there's still a 1/4 of an inch room for expansion, which is plenty. And so if you want to use a little bit less than I did, that would be great. Now we put the lid on it. When you put the lid on, don't put it really tight. Leave it a little bit loose. And we just set them directly into the Instant Pot. You don't have to add water. I usually tighten this down and then loosen it, so that I know that it's that I haven't over tightened it. I like these jars, and these are jam jars, I believe. They're ball jars, and I like these jars because they're really perfect sizes for a lot of things. They're it's perfect to make 2 fruit smoothies with yogurt for that my husband and I like to have every morning. And we just mix strawberries and blueberries and yogurt together, or you can put some banana in it. You could put a little honey if you eat honey, or you can put some dates in it and make a wonderful, really good smoothie. And I use this for cooking anything that you use yogurt for. This tastes exactly like milk yogurt. Okay, you can see that this fits perfectly 7 of these jars. Make sure they're standing up properly. And then we'll put our lid on. Now, as far as setting the vent, it's unimportant whether you seal this or not, because it's not going to get hot enough to build up any kind of steam at all. And so we have to set this on the yogurt setting, and I have it automatically set to 12 hours because that gives you the perfect amount of tartness, and it gives you enough time for your yogurt to make. Now you can see that the beeper has gone off. You can hear that it's gone off, and it'll start counting up to 12 hours. And when it reaches 12 hours, it's done. And that is absolutely all there is to it. We'll come back later and I'll show you what this looks like when it's finished. Hi, I'm back again. It's almost time to open the yogurt. We had it on for 12 hours, and you can let it go for 13 hours if you want to. The longer it processes, the more tart or more sour the yogurt will be. And so it just really depends on your preference. I think some people even make it only as long as 9 hours. I prefer 12. I think that's the perfect consistency and the perfect flavor for me. I really like this non-dairy yogurt much better than any store-bought brand that I've found. So it's very useful and much more cost-effective if you make it rather than buy it. You can get a whole lot better product at a lot better price. This is just some of the best yogurt I've ever had, and it really compares to yogurt made from milk that we've been eating all our life until we learned better and became plant-based. You can also cook with this yogurt. I use it in this wonderful mushroom stroganoff I make. You can use it in ragouts. I'm going to make a Ukrainian borscht, and it has a dollop. It's a creamy Ukrainian borscht with a dollop of yogurt stirred into it, and it's just fantastic with a little dill. You can use it in fruit smoothies. Just any way you would use any yogurt, this is perfectly acceptable for that. Another thing I want to point out is that when you turn this on, be sure you use the yogurt button and not the warm button. One day I made a mistake and I pushed the wrong button, and I ended up with basically warm milk. And so that doesn't work. The warm temperature is actually too warm to make yogurt. And then, okay. So it says yogurt, and that's telling us that it's ready. We can turn it off now. Anytime that you wanted to interrupt that in the middle of processing, that's fine. So we'll remove the lid, and it's not hot, and you can see there we have a perfect yogurt. This is a perfect consistency. And the perfect flavor. So we have 7 12-ounce bottles, and it was as easy as that. You can put this now in the refrigerator, and it will keep up to a week. And be sure to keep it chilled. If you keep it any longer than that, probably 3 or 4 days is the best amount of time to keep this. If you keep it much longer, it may start separating, and that's fine too. And to make Greek yogurt, you can take this container of yogurt and put a coffee filter in a strainer and set it over a 4-cup measuring cup, and just pour this into the coffee filter and let it drain for a couple of hours inside your refrigerator, and that will get rid of any of the excess water that's in it, and it will give you a very, very thick yogurt. And so that's how you make Greek yogurt. And you can use that to make sauces like tzatziki sauce, or you can mix it with some sort of sweetener or with fruit to have as a breakfast food. This is just so versatile. So there are a lot of ways to use yogurt, and you can learn more about this by joining me at timeforchangekitchen.com, where I'll have a lot of wonderful recipes that will help you to transition to a plant-based diet.